Salaam Alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
From Cedric Humphreys, a student from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, progressive Democrat.
Don't jump, Cedric. You look like you're way up there.
I'll be okay. Thank you, George. And good evening, former Vice President Biden. Many people believe that the true swing demographic in this election will be black voters under the age of 30. Not because they'll be voting for Trump, but because they won't vote at all. I myself have had this exact same conflict. So my question for you then is, besides you ain't black, what do you have to say to young black voters who see voting for you as further participation in a system that continually fails to protect them?
Well, I say, first of all, as my buddy John Lewis said, it's a sacred opportunity and right to vote. You can make a difference. If young black women and men vote, you can determine the outcome of this election. Not a joke. You can do that. And the next question is, am I worthy of your vote? Can I earn your vote? And the answer is, there's two things I think that I care, and I've demonstrated I care about my whole career. One is, in addition to dealing with a criminal justice system to make it fair and make it more decent, we have to be able to put black Americans in a position to be able to gain wealth, generate wealth.
With maybe if you visualize what one looks like, yeah, I do have a quarter. If you have a piece of crack cocaine no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, $1/4 of $1. We passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation, you get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice. We have laws in the last several years where we don't allow judges discretion to sentence people. Flat time sentencing. You get caught, you go to jail.
We increase the penalties for those who sell or use. Increase the penalties. Increase them. There are 70 additional enhancements of penalties, i.e., you go to jail longer.
Some people got caught up in situations that were very bad. I give an example of Mrs. Alice Johnson, who served 21 years, and she had, I think, another 25 or so to go. So she would have been in there for close to 50 years.
We changed the law so that if you are arrested and you are a drug dealer, under our forfeiture statutes, you can, the government can, take everything you own, everything from your car to your house, your bank account, not merely what they confiscate in terms of the dollars from the transaction that you just got caught engaging in. They can take everything.
We want former inmates to find a path to success so they can support their families and support their communities. Crucial to this effort is helping former prisoners find jobs. When we talk about our national program to hire American, this must include helping millions of former inmates get back into the workforce as gainfully employed citizens.
I am a supporter of the death penalty without the racial justice provision in it.
1994 crime bill, we had a gigantic epidemic in America of violence, particularly in African-American communities.
Among other changes, it rolls back some of the provisions of the Clinton crime law that disproportionately harmed the African-American community.
Another thing about how perspectives change over time. Bobby Rush, member of Congress, said the other day, "I'm ashamed that I voted for the 94 crime bill." You ashamed of that bill?
Not at all. In fact, I drafted the bill, as you remember.
I know that.
I'm the guy that wrote this bill. Presumptuous thing to say, but I wrote this bill. My own little hands.
That it was very disproportionate and very unfair.
Without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized, they will or a portion of them will become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
And then they go and they have that stigma. They can't get a job. People don't want to hire them. They can't get that chance. And when they do, in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases, they just turn out to be outstanding.
Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them.
If only given the chance. America is a nation that believes in the power of redemption. America is a nation that believes in second chance.
I don't care why someone is a malefactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society
and help former inmates get a second chance at life, and a second chance that many of them will really succeed at.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
It's an amazing thing. Our whole nation benefits if former inmates are able to re-enter society as productive, law-abiding citizens.
So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, there's the federal system, you serve 85% of your time.
We also want more mental health services so released inmates can cope with the challenges of life on the outside. And some of those challenges are not easy.
But they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our family.
Nobody wins when former prisoners fail to adjust to life outside, or worse, end up back behind bars.
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. So I don't want to ask what made them do this.
For many, really, life outside of the prison is a tremendous struggle. I see it. To find a job, to stay off drugs, to avoid old habits that lead them back to a life of crime, back to prison, then we should work to give them the tools to stand on their own 2 feet. They're going to love it. They're going to be great at it. And the programs so that inmates can re-enter society with the skills to get a job. We're developing more effective drug treatment so that former prisoners can remain drug-free.
So I hope this crime bill, when it passes, the Biden-Hatch crime bill, as it becomes law, God willing, I hope that we will have ended once and for all this notion that is a hangover from the 60s, that somehow Democrats are weak on crime and Democratic presidents are weak on crime and Republicans are tough on crime. The truth is, every major crime bill since 1976 that's come out of this Congress, every minor crime bill has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden, on that bill.